I'm going to start with the most basic command, the line command. And for that, I need to go to Sketcher environment. So let's start a Sketcher from mechanical design, Sketcher, or you can go to part design. Or as a third alternative, you can go to file and click on new and type a part. All of them will take you to part design environment. So in part design environment, you can see these planes in the middle of the screen. Also, you can see the names of the planes. This is easier to go to part 3 and select the name of the plane from there. Let's say XY plane. I click on that and I click on sketch. So this takes me to sketch environment. And of course, you can see the sketch tools toolbar here and user selection filter. I'm going to close this for the time and I'm going to put this up here so that I can use it. So in toolbar, I can find line command here, or I can go to insert, profile, and find line command here. You can see that there are different types of lines. I'm going to start with the most basic one. So I click on that, and you can see that there are some options in the sketch tools toolbar. One of them is snapping to the point. Right now snapping is enabled, so you can see that when I am moving my cursor, it snaps to the grid lines, as a matter of fact, the intersections of the grid lines. I can disable or enable the grid just by typing grid command in the text box. Right now, it should be there. It is not going to hurt. The other thing tells me that whatever I draw is going to be a construction element. Right now, I don't really care about construction element. I'm going to show you in a minute what a construction element means. They are not used to create different geometries. As a matter of fact, they are there as a guidelines or something like that. The next thing is geometrical constraint. This means that whenever Catia understands that you are drawing a line in a specific direction, let's say horizontal or vertical or parallel to another line, or it is perpendicular to a line, so all of them will hint Catia to create a constraint automatically. And another thing that geometrical constraints does is this: whenever you are adding a constraint, it is going to be permanent constraint because geometrical constraint right now is enabled. Right now I really don't care about it, so I don't want to speak about it more than this. Later I will speak about it in detail. And the next thing says dimensional constraint. This means that when I add a dimension to a line, it's going to be permanent. So again, when I am talking about constraints, I will speak about this. And this one says because dimensional constraints is enabled, I can be enabled as well. And what do? I add dimensions automatically. Right now, like I said, I don't really care about that. And this one says I am going to extend the line in both sides. This is a symmetrical extension. So whenever I start somewhere, whatever I do on one side, it is going to be mirrored on the other side. I will show you this in a minute. And you can see that I can start from a point with horizontal and vertical coordinate of something. And I can add a length for that and a degree for that. Let's say that I'm going to start from 50, 0. So this is going to be the start coordinate. And I'm going to have this something like 100 millimeters, and the angle is going to be 90 degrees. So I hit enter and the line is going to be created for me. Right now you can see that I have this enabled, and because dimensional constraints are enabled, I can see these dimensions. But if I click somewhere else, you can see that these dimensions are not going to go away. Once again, that's because I have selected to have dimensional constraints activated. So this is the line that I just created. It is green because it is fully defined. It has a start point, a definite start point, a definite end point, a definite angle, and everything that you need to have a line totally defined is here. So this shows in green. Let me activate the line command one more time. This time I'm going to start just by clicking somewhere. You can see that at the status bar, it is telling me what to do. It says click for the first point, that is going to be my start point, and then another click to have my end point, let's say for example here. So this is going to create a line for me. Now I'm going to start the line command one more time, and I'm going to show you something interesting. Let's say that I am going to draw a line that has 45 degrees angle with this line. So how can I do that? I can go to this line when the line command is activated and right click on that. And you can see that it has some items here. First of all, it says, are you going to find the midpoint of this? Are you going to try to find the nearest point to where you are clicking? Or you are trying to find something else. Let's say, for example, you want to have this as an angle reference, or you're copying the length. Which one do you want to have? I want to have the angle to be calculated based on this angle. So whatever I am going to do is going to be about 45 degrees from this line. So I click on set as angle reference. I click on that. You can see this red arrow. This tells me that this is going to be the 0 degree. I'm going to type, let's say, 45 degrees here, and the length is going to be something like 50 millimeters, and I hit enter, and you see that a 50 millimeter line is going to be here. It isn't finished because I haven't shown where the start point is going to be. So maybe it is here, maybe it is connected to this line. So whatever I do, it's going to have a 45 degree relative to the line that I previously selected. So I click here and this line is going to be there, and you can see this 45 degree angle of these two lines. This means that if I extend this line, it's going to have such an angle with the previous line. Also, let me click on the line command one more time. This time I'm going to start with a symmetrical extension. So I click here, and I am going to start from the, let's say, here, the endpoint of this. I click on this endpoint, and you can see that whatever I do, it's going to be there. And if I try to make this a little angular to this, so that you can see this perpendicular sign in the middle of the line, you can see that this is there because the constraint, geometrical constraint is enabled. This means that it is going to automatically add this for me. Also, you can see that it is symmetrical, so whatever I do on one side, it's going to be replicated to the other side. So this is a symmetrical line. So I click here and it is done. And you can see this sign in the middle that says kind of a symmetry is enabled for this line. So these are all the options that really are present to create a line for you in Sketcher environment.